Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to JoyNews Today. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125 across all our social media handles. We're JoyNews on TV. Coming up, more reactions to the legislative instrument seeking to allow members of parliament and ministers use sirens and drive without speed limits. We'll hear from South Dayi MP Nelson Dafiamepo. Also in this bulletin, Ghana Education Service rates its free SHS policy 9 out of 10, as it says they will work to consolidate the policy going forward.
There's room for improvement. But on the scale of 1 to 10, I would give it between a 9 and a 9.5.
We have business, sports and showbiz within the next 60 minutes. My name is Faustina Safo. Take a seat, be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. We're your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now, more reactions have been pouring into the legislative instrument by the Ministry of Transport seeking to amend portions of the Road Traffic Regulation 2012. Now, these new changes will permit members of parliament, ministers of state, to fix sirens or bells as warning appliances. While some stakeholders disagree with this L.I, some members of parliament believe this is a step in the right direction. Let's hear from Franklin Kujo, who is president of Imani Africa, and Cyril Gabra, who is CEO of Top Tech Transport Logistics, who are opposed to the L.I.
It's telling us that you want to be giving preferential treatment on our bad roads, badly lit roads in terms of, poor visibility, just everything that is bad on our roads. Where the roads isn't done properly, I don't think this particular airline serves its purpose at all. And I think it's unconscionable that we would even think of something like this. All the arguments that have been advanced that I've read so far in support of it, frankly speaking, falls flat. I can't believe that anyway, don't forget, Parliament some time back used to do so many things. Someone, who was it that said, I've forgotten my government lessons. Who was it that said the only thing Parliament cannot do is to change a man into a woman? Was it Montesquieu? I've forgotten who it was. In any case, I'm still having a good laugh. So look, it doesn't make sense. I don't think this bill, this L.I. should actually pass. And if they try passing it, I'm sure many people would rise up against it. Because, frankly speaking, it's just unconscionable. So, frankly speaking, really, that they want to go about their work efficiently. Don't forget, my good brother, that 3 years ago, the presidency actually issued a directive that no minister, no MP should use a siren at all. Do you remember? Just Google it, you see that story. So what changed? I'm surprised. What actually changed? That all of a sudden we should accord our dear honorables the opportunity to speed without limit on these bad roads. It's even a danger to them, isn't it? And then at the same time, just make noise during the day by disturbing the peace. Already people are suffering on these roads anyway. I mean, what's the point in... Look, it doesn't make sense.
A member of Parliament for South Dayi Nelson Dafiamepo says past experience of the arrest of MPs necessitated this L.I.
Now, I agree with you that in the extreme sense of the law, you may have all the 275 MPs using the siren, but all the 275 MPs may not be on the road at the same time. That is one. Two, ministers of state are already using the siren. I have even seen businessmen, not of some standing, use a siren. I've even seen some, in addition to a siren, some are even using a motorcade. I have seen chiefs, not even up to the status of a paramount chief, use a siren. So let the argument be holistically made that we should limit the use of sirens to the heads of organs of state. So the President, the Chief Justice, the Speaker of Parliament. That's all. If we can make such an argument. But to say that all the 275 MPs will be on the road at the same time, blaring with sirens, it's perfect. And then second, for instance, do you know the number of employees working with the National Cyber Security Authority? There are in excess of 500. And yet Cyber Security Authority will be using a siren. Do you know the number of employees working with the Narcotics Control Commission? It's nearly 1,000. So the numbers doesn't mean that every single one of them will be using a siren mandatorily. For instance, I may not have it on my vehicle. I may not, but I'm a member of Parliament. Because the law is not to be applied mandatorily. There's a greater element of pollution there. If you want to apply the law in your favor, there's that election to do, and they elect not to do it. So it doesn't automatically mean that all the 275 MPs will have sirens blaring on their vehicles. So I share in the sentiment being expressed, but my strongest position is that let the argument be holistically made.
Well, the latest on this is that the minority in Parliament is asking the Transport Minister to withdraw this controversial L.I, which seeks to allow MPs, ministers and judges to fix sirens and drive without speed limit. A statement from the minority leader, Dr. Kisalatu Forsen, is coming up on your screen shortly. We'll tell you what it says and also speak to Kwekwa Asante, who is our parliamentary correspondent. Well, the statement says the NDC Minority Caucus has taken note of the public sentiment expressed in respect of the proposed amendments to the Road Traffic Regulation 2012, which were laid in Parliament by Honourable Minister of Transport on the 14th of June 2024. It goes on to say, we understand that the broader purpose of the regulation was to bring the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 up to speed on many matters relating to the registration and licensing of motor vehicles. However, the legislative instrument also includes provisions granting certain public officials, including ministers of state and members of parliament, the privilege of using sirens on the road and not be liable for exceeding speed limits. This aspect of the regulation has drawn huge public condemnation. The report of the subsidiary legislative committee is yet to be brought to the floor for debate and discussion. That's an update. However, given the sentiment expressed so far, members of the NDC Minority Caucus wish to make it abundantly clear that we stand with the Ghanaian public on this issue, and we wish to signal our opposition to the amendment without any reservation. So that's the stance of the minority. The last paragraph says they are calling on the Minister of Transport to immediately withdraw the said legislative. Let's get on the phone lines now and speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Kwekwa Asante. Thank you for your time here on JoyNews Today. Tell us what's the latest on this on the floor. Kwekwa, you'd have to position rightly for me. I can't seem to hear you at this point. I'm asking you what's the latest. We know that the minority is demanding that the Transport Minister withdraw this legislative instrument from the House. Tell us more. Unfortunately, our connection to Kwekwa Asante isn't that favorable. Let's do some other stories now. The Ghana Education Service says it will rate government's much-touted free senior high school policy 9 out of 10, despite calls for its review. Deputy Director General of Quality and Access at the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Kobna Bempatando, says though government accepts there are some lapses, the free SHS policy has been beneficial and must be supported. He spoke earlier on Newsdesk.
Most teachers will say that as a teacher, you don't give a 10 because there is always room for improvement. But on the scale of 1 to 10, I would give it between a 9 and a 9.5. And here's my reason. Of every teacher I have taught at the university level and then also at the pre-tertiary level. And every teacher must at least give a reason why they are giving a student or anything these type of assessment. Now, Free SHS came to do about 3 or 4 key things: access, quality, removing financial barriers, and equity. On the score of access, if you take the number of students in school, the last data we have is students who were enrolled in 2014, 2015, and 2016 in all public senior high schools in the country. We have just about 800,000, about 811,000. On the score of access, today, if you take the same 3-year group that are in school now, we are at 1.4 million. That is 75% increase in terms of access. I think the Free SHS has answered the question of access. On the question of quality, if you take 10 years and what we can measure quality with in terms of an international standard is the WASSCE examination. If you take the past 10 years and you look at, say, from 2014 to 2024 in terms of the WASSCE examination, and you look at the subjects that are common to all students, which is the English, Mathematics, Science, and Social Studies. It is the past 4 years, 2020, 21, 22, and 23, which are the first 4 batches of Free SHS students, that has consistently scored in all core subject areas 50% or above. Last year, it was 60% or above in all 4 core subject areas. It has not happened over the past 10 years.
Dr. KB Tanda also says his outfit is working with the West African Examination Council to curb examination malpractice. This is after WAEC had arrested 19 people for various forms of infractions at the just ended Basic Education Certificate examination.
And so those are 2 key things that we are doing. There has been a lot of work, myself as well as the Director General of the Ghana Education Service and a few of our directors, the CHAS president, as well as 2 other CHAS members. We have COBS, which is the heads of basic schools. We have representation from different universities that all sit on the WAEC Council. And one of the things that we are discussing is moving more into technology or using technology to aid in the administration of exams. WAEC we have been discussing on council computer-assisted testing, where students will go into an examination hall, question banks of the same difficulty will randomize in its appearance on a screen for a student to answer. When you do computer-assisted testing, you drastically reduce the malpractice in terms of examination malpractice because students can only answer what is on their screen. They have a limited amount of time to answer. They are being monitored in a room. So we are eventually and gradually moving towards how do we constantly eliminate it. But in the meantime, we are using some of these interventions, including serialization, stiffer punishment for those that are found culpable, and then not just for the staff, but also for the student.
Well, let's go back on the phone lines and speak to my colleague Kwekwa Samti on what is happening currently in Parliament. We're discussing the controversial legislative instrument that seeks to ensure members of Parliament do not drive with speed limits and can also drive with sirens. Kwekwa, what's the latest on this update? We know that the minority has demanded that the Transport Minister withdraw this LI.
Last hour, the Speaker of Parliament has been speaking at the University of Ghana on private service bill. And he has taken that opportunity to comment on this raging controversy. The Speaker of Parliament is denying knowledge of this LI. He says he's not aware of it. And clearly that would mean that he did not give his approval for this to be laid. That is a bit curious because this has been laid on the 14th of June. That was last month. And the countdown is on for this LI to now mature into law. But the Speaker of Parliament says even he and his principal officers are all not aware that any such LI has been before Parliament. Indeed, he goes as far as to see that no such LI is before the House. That is not true. That LI is currently before the House because it has been laid. It is set to mature this Friday. And so we understand that the leadership of both sides are conferring on this. The House is yet to start sitting But given the mood in the House, it is clear that Parliament, in a bipartisan effort, is going to impress on the Transport Minister to withdraw this L.I. It will be difficult to get two-thirds majority to even obtain Parliament in the first place to vote and annul this. And so the way the House is expected to go, from the indication we are getting, is to put some pressure on the Transport Minister to withdraw this L.I., withdraw those specific amendments that allows ministers, members of Parliament, judges to drive without speed limits and install sirens, and then perhaps resubmit it for late.
Thank you, Kweko Asante. We'll be back in Parliament in subsequent bulletins as we monitor this L.I. We know that the minority has demanded that the Transport Minister withdraws this controversial legislative instrument. Now, away from that, outpatient department services have been restored at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital and the Adabraka Polyclinic after organized labor called off its strike yesterday. But the two hospitals have seen lower than expected number of patients visiting their OPDs today. Clinical coordinator at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Susan Sefa, tells JoyNews the situation could be as a result of people's assumption that the strike is still in full force and expects patients' numbers to normalize tomorrow.
Yes, organized labor has called off the strike. Yes, indeed, full work has been restored at the various hospitals. But the outpatient departments of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital is not seeing the usual number of patients it is used to. This could be partly attributed to the fact that some of these patients are not aware that a strike has been called off. I spoke to the clinical coordinator at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Susan Sefa, who tells me that, yes, indeed, the numbers are not as high as it is on a normal Tuesday, but they do expect people to troop in as and when.
So on a normal Tuesday at Accra Psychiatric Hospital, it's very busy. We are expecting about 150 to 200 patients coming in on a Tuesday. But it looks like the numbers are down. We were expecting that we would have more patients coming because yesterday we weren't running the outpatient department services. And so today the numbers are down. But the day is young, so maybe they'll come in later on. Most of the health unions had a roadmap, and the roadmap was not for us to attend the outpatient patients who were coming to the department. So what we were doing was attending to just emergency cases. And so patients will walk in, you don't have anyone to attend to you. A few of them sat around and we're hoping that doctors will come and attend to them or nurses will come and attend to them. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. A few times we had to go to them to tell them that, yes, this is what was happening. And so they had to go back home. But as I said initially, we did attend to cases that came in as emergencies, and then patients that were admitted or on admission on the wards were attended to by the doctors and the nurses.
The strike lasted just a day, but the impact was dire as most patients at the various OPDs of the hospitals across the country were turned away because the doctors and nurses were not there to attend to them. And the good news once again is that it has been called off. So patients will be expected to troop into the various outpatient departments of the hospitals across the country to receive medical care from the OPD of the Adabraka Polyclinic. Kenneth, Jesse, for JoyNews.
Let's take you now to Wa, where the Wa High Court will continue the trial of the prime suspect, Ilyasa Mahama, and two others on their alleged involvement in the killing of the CEO of Jirapa Dubai, Eric Johnson. Supervising Wa High Court Judge Justice Yusufa Sibe says the Chief Justice has asked that the case continues at the Wa High Court. Rafiq Salam has been following this case. He joins me live with more. Rafiq, what can you report?
Hello.
Hi, Rafiq.
Hello.
I'm hoping you can hear me. I can hear you loud and clear. What can you report?
The case was supposed to be tried at the Wa High Court a couple of months ago, but a directive from the Chief Justice a couple of months ago transferring the case to a Kumasi High Court really angered the people of the Upper West region. Several petitions were sent and several protests and also a lot of demonstrations were held in the Upper West region here. But today, the trial judge, Justice Yusuf Asibi, came to court and announced that the Chief Justice.
Unfortunately, we seem to have lost connection to Rafiq Salam. Rafiq, I'll try one more time. Can we hear you?
Is saying that it's asking them to go to 24. And so that's the news from the Wa High Court. And so I managed to speak to residents of.
Unfortunately, our connection to Rafiq Salam isn't favorable at this point in time. We'll reach out to him in subsequent bulletins. Now, President Akufo-Addo has described the construction of the 12,830-kilometer road and 6 interchanges under his administration as unparalleled in the history of Ghana's road infrastructure development. Now, speaking at the commissioning of the reconstruction of the Bichim-Techimanshia and Akomanda Road at Techimanshia and in the Ahafo region, the president said these developments have boosted economic activities and improved the quality of life. Precious Semevo has more in the following report.
2.4 kilometers reconstruction of the Bichim-Techimanshia Akomadan Road from Tano South in the Ahafo region to Ofenso North in the Ashanti region was constructed by the Gabriel Koto Rango Consortium at 50 million euros after shortcutting in September 2020. The then road was a nightmare for drivers and residents of the various farming communities along the stretch. The roads minister Francis Asenso-Boakye said its completion is a relief.
The main carriageway has been widened to a 3.6 meter wide dual lane with 2 meter shoulder and incorporated a dual carriageway within the Techimanshia township. This expansion is designed to handle increased traffic volumes with a view to reducing travel time and enhancing safety on the corridor. A critical aspect of this project is that all the adjoining access roads to the main carriageway have been improved.
The president, ahead of the commissioning, said the project adds up to his government's expansion of road infrastructure, a situation he described as unparalleled in the history of Ghana.
From 2009 to 2016, that is the Mills Mahama era, our nation completed 4,636 kilometers of roads and 5 interchanges stroke overpasses. However, since January 2017, i.e. in the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia era, we have witnessed exceptional improvements in our road network nationwide. We have successfully completed a total of 12,830 kilometers of roads across the country and added 6 more interchanges. We're also currently working on 10 new interchanges. This development is unparalleled in the history of Ghana, reflecting a level of commitment and efficiency in addressing our infrastructure needs that have not been seen before.
He said if our government had accomplished half of what he has, it would have led to economic growth of the people.
We are all aware of the continuing cry within our body politic for more roads, which indicates that the road deficit that my administration inherited was indeed substantial. Had previous governments accomplished even half of what my administration has achieved, the road deficit in Ghana would have been significantly reduced. This would have facilitated easier movement of goods and people, spurred greater economic growth, and alleviated many of the challenges faced by communities across the nation. It is imperative for all future governments to continue this momentum. The progress made sets a high standard and serves as a blueprint for what can be achieved with dedication and strategic planning.
Bechem Queen Mother Nana Adwoapo Dwamina Sewa II admonished the communities along the stretch to express their gratitude to the president by voting for his party's candidates in the general elections. As much as residents relish the economic benefits of the road, they appealed to drivers to drive carefully to avert pedestrian knockdowns. Precious Semevod, Joy News, Techimentia.
You're watching JoyNews Today. We're taking a quick breather. We'll be back with business, sports, and showbiz. Stay tuned in.
It's now time for business on JoyNews Today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. The Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport has pledged to increase resources into the training and education of more women in the sector to boost participation. International President of the Institute, Titi Owusu-Norte, who paid a courtesy call on the Gamanche Nite Kuchuru II, pledged their contribution towards increasing the participation of women in logistics and transport value chain. The Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport is the leading international professional body associated with logistics and transport. The institute has over 33,000 members globally. First African and international president of the institute, who paid a courtesy call on the Gamanche to pay homage to him, expressed their willingness to develop human capital in the transport and logistics sector to aid in development.
Among our special interest groups includes the Women in Logistics and Transport, that is WILLAT. WILLAT is to help to empower women in logistics and transport. And what I informed the government was the fact that I see a lot of women out there in Accra, most especially, that needs to be educated. Our main or our core mandate at CLT is to promote, educate our members and to be members in the arts and science, logistics and transport. So I informed the government that I'll bring this expertise on board to educate, promote the art of logistics and transport in the women empowerment. We also have a special interest group called the Next Generation. That is to educate the youth of our next generation to get education and to be well exposed in the area of logistics and transport. And I've formed a committee with the help of the government and my team, my local team in Ghana, to find out ways where we can educate the youth or the next generation and empowering them as well.
The institute also lauded the Gamanche for his exemplary leadership. Human resource professionals have been urged to leverage opportunities presented by digital technologies to make their operations seamless. Chief Executive of Telecel Ghana, Patricia Obwenai, noted that HR technology can improve companies' efficiency, employee satisfaction, and ultimately drive business success. She was speaking at the 12th conferral and 16th graduation of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management.
65 level 4 students were conferred a Chartered Human Resource Management Practitioner status, and 133 level 3 students were also conferred associate members of the institute. Speaking at the 12th conferral and 16th graduation ceremony, Chief Executive Officer of Telecel Ghana, Patricia Obwenai, urged the HR practitioners to adapt to new changes within the digital world.
If you choose not to do it, your competitors are doing it. So it's no longer a choice. You need to have that competitive advantage for yourself and for your employees. Coming from a telecom company that's embedding technology in the way we work, I am convinced that adopting and promoting positive use of such technologies is the CEO and the management team's responsibility. And the management team has their best business partner, which is HR. My trusted business partner is my HR director. So it is not the technologies team's responsibility to drive digital change in the organization. It is the HR's responsibility. Having an organization that is digitally aware is a key part of our strategy as we have deployed AI deeply and deeply into our business. And this is why. Your employees, they know the business better than you, and they have to unearth the business challenges and what will transform the organization, what will impact service delivery.
On this spot, the Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Dr. Francis Edukun, said HR practitioners should work closely with employees to create a serene working environment.
Technology helps us to be more efficient. Technology is not coming to take our work, it's rather coming to make us more efficient. It's going to take away most of the administrative issues. So if we automate most of the HR processes, then we can free up time to work on more strategic issues, because we are focusing on how we partner with the business to achieve the strategy, implementing culture and inclusive environment. And that's what we should be focusing on, making sure our profession adds value to the business.
The 12th conferral and 16th graduation ceremony was under the theme Transforming HR Through Emerging Technologies, Leveraging AI and Data Science for Competitive Advantage.
That'll be all for business. My name is Winston Taki. We have more news for you after this break. Stay tuned.
Time now to bring you sports on Joy News Today with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullah. England manager Gareth Southgate has resigned following the final Euro 2024 defeat to Spain. Gareth Southgate, who was appointed in 2016 following a horrendous performance in the Euros that saw former manager Roy Hodgson leave his post, will replace has resigned from the role after his team suffered a 2-1 loss in the final. Media reports have already begun speculating potential replacements for Gareth Southgate, with the likes of former Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino being a likely candidate to replace the 58-year-old manager who took over the job about 8 years ago. Meanwhile, Real Madrid, they have unveiled Kylian Mbappe as their new signing before 80,000 spectators at the Bernabeu a couple of minutes ago. Kylian Mbappe, in his speech, said that it is a dream fulfilled to finally play for Real Madrid. There were also images of him when he was just 13 years old with Zinedine Zidane at the club's training grounds, which is Venables. Well, Kylian Mbappe turned down a contract extension with PSG about 2 years ago and joined Real Madrid for free. His announcement was, however, delayed due to the Euro 2024 competition, which concluded on Sunday, and he was unveiled just a couple of minutes ago. And still on transfers, Leicester City has just confirmed the signing of Ghana international Abdul Fattah Issahaku on a 5-year deal. Fattah Issahaku had moved from Sporting Lisbon to Leicester on loan, where he contributed 13 goals to the club's qualification to the Premier League, and he's now been signed on a 5-year deal. Reports suggest that the club paid about £17 million for his services, and that means that about £7 or £8 million of that money will be going to Steadfast FC in Tamale, the club that transferred Fattah Issahaku to Sporting Lisbon.
Good afternoon, you're welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Yebwa. Now to our first story. Some actors are insisting that the Ghanaian movie industry is not as dead as many perceive. They believe that despite some declining, there has been some notable improvement and that there's more support needed from Ghanaians. My colleague Nicholas Akoyamwa caught up with them and has more in this report.
Industry has over the years seen little or no revamp. Many actors, including Beverly Afaglo, have criticized the collapse of the art industry, with many players venturing into other side hustles. Some attribute the industry's decline to lack of funding and unavailable resources. However, some actors disagree with the notion that the movie industry is dead. At the Groomsmen movie premiere in Accra, several actors shared their perspectives on the state of the industry. Ace actor Ajete Anand believes the movie industry is gaining some momentum.
We're adding some momentum, we're gaining momentum, if you will, and we're very, very, particular about the content that is going out, because we know the Ghanaians want the very best, and so we're giving them just that, and hopefully we will maintain the consistency.
James Gardiner thinks the Ghanaian movie industry has improved.
We may have done some bad movies back in the day, which people may have thought we're taking them for granted, but now times have changed. Now we've advanced when it comes to like picture quality, storytelling. We have the artists and the talent for it. So everybody should just throw their weight be behind us. We need the support system. We have to be very intentional about it.
Kojo Dillon asserts that the movie industry was never dead.
If it's dead, you wouldn't see this. It's never dead. In everything, there are ups, there are downs. We look at the negative to pick it up. Predecessors do what they do. We take over next generation after generation. What is wrong, we correct, we move on. There might be hitches here and there, but passion drives us. Passion drives us before even money comes in.
But what can be done to revive the Ghanaian movie industry?
It was never dead. I mean, if there's a problem in the company, you come together, you rectify the problem, and put heads together and see how to solve the problem. Consistency. And consistency yields results. It's not like we're not working hard here. We are, but they are more consistent. Be it the YouTube, the Prime, the Showmax, the Netflix, they are actually producing every single day. So I'll say that let's use what we have.
In recent times, the Ghanaian movie industry has seen some growth, particularly with movie premieres. Actress Fela Makafui's movie Resonance recently sold out at cinemas, same for Lowen's movie A Country Called Ghana, demonstrating a renewed interest and support for local films. The industry may face challenges, but there is a glimmer of hope with the dedication and optimism of its stakeholders. Nicholas Ekoyamo's report for Joy News.
Well, Ghanaian rapper Manifest joined Burna Boy on stage last night to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the African Giant album. With nearly 1 billion hits, this album is Burna Boy's second most successful project on streaming platforms.
Last night in London, fans witnessed a musical reunion as Ghanaian rapper Manifest joined Nigerian superstar Burna Boy on stage to celebrate 5 years of the iconic African Giant album. Released in July 2019, this album not only racked up close to 1 billion streams, but also earned Burna Boy a Grammy nomination for Best World Music Album at the 62nd edition of the awards. The London crowd was buzzing as Burna Boy took to the stage, but the excitement hit new heights when Manifest made his grand entrance to join the celebration.
Well, it's a wrap for the showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yeboah.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Some top stories there. 2024-2025 SHS First Year Student Report on September 27. GS announces that and more stories on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Sava. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.